What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over two players in each round of your fantasy draft that you should not be drafting. This is my do not draft list. If you enjoy the content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, so we are here on the fantasyfootballadvice.com again. We've got our players here, 1 through 10, going in the first round of your 10-team PPR leagues. If this is a 12-team, I would highly recommend just taking a look yourself. The numbers can get really confusing, but you can keep track by it does it by a 12-team league automatically. So you can see 112, 111 here on the round. But let's get right into it. We've got round one here. The players I'm looking to avoid, you're really all these guys are great players. They're going to turn out to be, top 10 guys more than likely. But if I had to pick two players to avoid, it's going to be Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, obviously, because of injury concerns, and just because you want to see him, basically be ready to go from training camp. But he's been on the PUP list, recently activated, and has been practicing with the team. But not really reports of him seeming too explosive or him even committing to week one. So that's why I've got him as a player I'm avoiding in the first round. Now, if Saquon falls to me, middle, late second round, I think it's worth taking a risk because he does have that top three upside at the position. So I'm not looking at Saquon in the first round. And Derrick Henry, I'm not really looking to draft in the first round either. And I won't draft him at the 3, strictly because Kamara will get all of the passing game work and all of the rushing game work. I'm not too sure why Derrick Henry is getting drafted above those guys. And if you take him at 3, you're pretty much drafting him at his ceiling. If he has the same season he had last year, which was 18 touchdowns and 2,000 rushing yards, he still didn't even finish as the RB1. So that's why I'm not drafting Derrick Henry here in the first round. Moving on to the second round, two players that I won't be drafting are Jonathan Taylor and DK Metcalf. I can't say I won't be drafting DK Metcalf, but like I said, the players in these rounds are so good, you kind of have to, just find things you don't like. DK Metcalf, low volume type of guy. You're looking for touchdowns basically from DK, and I think he's gonna supply you with those. But you're gonna have up and down weeks for him and for Tyler Lockett just because of this passing game. I'm not down on Metcalf. I'm not opposed to drafting him in the second round, but I had to pick another player besides Jonathan Taylor. Now, Jonathan Taylor, I'm avoiding in this second round just because I have doubts about the Colts offense entirely. With Carson Wentz behind center, I felt pretty confident that they might be able to move the ball a little bit, but now that, he's coming off of this foot injury, I'm pretty hesitant on Jonathan Taylor. I don't see how he's going to have a better season than he had last year with Marlon Mack returning and Naheem Hines having that important pass catching role. So I'm hands off of Jonathan Taylor in the second round, but that is just me. There are some people who are very, very high on Jonathan Taylor, but I'd rather have guys like Gibson, Mixon, and Najee Harris. So let's get into the third round. We've got AJ Brown starting it off. You've got J.K. Dobbins here, and then you've got Waller and Kittle. And I want to talk about George Kittle because I'm not going to be drafting him in the third round. There's too many valuable wide receivers and running backs that are already established. Kittle is established, but he has that health factor. On top of that, the Niners offense has a ton of weapons. I don't think they're going to be shying away from Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. They have, a plethora of running backs in Trey Sermon, Raheem Mostert, Wayne Gallman, Jeff Wilson. The Niners are just stacked at every position, and I don't think I'm going to be taking my top 3 round pick on George Kittle here. So it's really not a talent concern. Obviously, George Kittle is one of the top tight ends in the league, but I'm not going to be picking him over guys like Keenan Allen and Terry McLaurin and Allen Robinson. So I'm hands off Kittle in the third. The other player I'm not going to be taking is J.K. Dobbins. Purely situational again. J.K. is a great player, but he's in a Ravens offense where Lamar Jackson is running the football as well. He's the real RB1. You've got J.K. Dobbins, basically the RB2, splitting carries with Gus Edwards, and the Ravens don't throw to their running backs really. So J.K. Dobbins has a lot of things working against him, but I do see a path where he can score 10 plus touchdowns. So I don't think he's going to be a total bust, but here in the third, I'm going to be avoiding J.K. Dobbins. Moving on to the fourth round, we've got guys like Amari Cooper, Robert Woods, Tyler Lockett, Cooper Kupp, and Julio Jones in this range. The players that I'm going to be avoiding are DeAndre Swift and Patrick Mahomes. I'm just not going to take a quarterback this early, even though in the fourth round, you know, take Mahomes, but I'm not going to be taking him in the fourth. The fourth is a pretty good value though, so maybe I'm lying, but if you take a look at the ESPN rank, they've got him at 55. I want to say that's because their normal format is 4 point per passing touchdowns, but maybe not because I think all of these other platforms are rocking 6 point per passing touchdown, so that's why Mahomes is going to go much earlier. But I'm good off of Mahomes, and I'm definitely good off of DeAndre Swift. There's nothing but negative reports coming out of there. And Jamal Williams is there, who's actually a pretty good running back. They paid him, and they're gonna give him some touches as well. This offense is not projected to score many points, that being the Detroit Lions. So, and really just an overall bad team. So DeAndre Swift is purely going to be a volume play, and I don't see him um, really reaching that ceiling of getting drafted here in the fourth round. Moving on to the fifth, we've got Chris Godwin, DJ Moore, Kyle Pitts is here, Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson, Miles Sanders. The two players I won't be drafting in this range, believe it or not, are Ja'Marr Chase and Adam Thielen. Now, Ja'Marr Chase is interesting just because I think he clearly is going to be the wide receiver one on the Bengals just because Joe Burrow and him have that chemistry. But there are reports coming out of training camp that he's struggling to get separation, and that's expected just because he's a guy who didn't play. He didn't play in 2020, so he was one of the opt-outs. So his last season was 2019 with Joe Burrow. I don't think there's anything to actually worry about there, but the only reason I have a problem with drafting Ja'Marr Chase here is because he's going around guys like DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson. And I don't think you should take already established wide receivers in the NFL to draft a rookie. You just never know what's going to go on with their season. So I will draft his teammate T. Higgins over him, even though I said he'll be the one. T. Higgins already had a monster year last year with trash quarterback play, so we already know he's good, and Tyler Boyd in the slot, but I'll take T. Higgins over him, and I'll take Deontay Johnson over him. I'm just not too interested in Ja'Marr Chase this year, and the other receiver I am not going to be drafting is Adam Thielen, and that's purely because Justin Jefferson has clearly taken the number one role, and Adam Thielen also scored 14 touchdowns last year. I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't think he's a bad receiver by any means, but he is in his 30s and on the downside of his career. I think his best years are behind him. Moving on to the sixth round, the players that I'm going to be avoiding here are Robbie Anderson and Josh Jacobs. Robbie Anderson I'll be avoiding just because he's a guy that's in these later rounds, I like to shoot for upside, and Robbie Anderson is pretty much the opposite of that. Carolina has turned him into kind of a possession receiver, but maybe with Sam Darnold coming to town, they'll turn him into a deep shot artist again, but I doubt it. So Robbie Anderson is off my board here, and I'm not taking Josh Jacobs basically because the Raiders paid Kenyon Drake. But Jacobs is one of the more interesting guys because I don't think Drake's going to take too much rushing game from him, but he's definitely going to take the passing game from Jacobs, even though Jacobs wasn't even really getting the passing game to begin with. So why I'm so down on Jacobs, I'm not so sure. Maybe the sixth round is a good enough slide, but as of right now, I am avoiding him. I will take Travis Etienne, the only other running back in this round, over him. Taking a look at round 7, a lot of mid-round running backs here. On my list is Myles Gaskin. He's a big preseason loser because from go, Malcolm Brown started with the first team. Then you saw Myles Gaskin get out of there. After the game, Brian Flores came and said he wants to have a 3-headed backfield approach with Salvon Ahmed, Myles Gaskin, and Malcolm Brown. So that's disgusting. Myles Gaskin won't be on any of my rosters. And the other player I'm going to be avoiding here is Dak Prescott. And that's because Dak Prescott, I don't know if people are forgetting, but he's coming off of ankle surgery. I know his offense is going to be, probably top 10 in the league, but I worry about Dak Prescott becomes elite because of his rushing ability. And I've yet to see him run with that ankle, and he's guaranteed. The past couple seasons he's getting at least 5 rushing touchdowns. So I'm gonna need that from Dak. I'm gonna need to see a little bit more for me to draft him in the 7th round here. Moving on to the 8th round, the guys that I will be avoiding is Michael Gallup, who's been just jumping up ADP wise this past 2 weeks. I haven't seen him the whole entire offseason. Now he's up here in the 8th round. I don't see the appeal really. CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are going to be guys that I think will get many more targets than Gallup. I fell for Gallup last season, and yeah, he let me down big time. So I'm good on Michael Gallup. Also good on DJ Chark. Too many wide receivers in this offense at this point. I don't know who Trevor Lawrence is going to favor. My guess would be Marvin Jones, not DJ Chark. I think he's pretty talented, but very inconsistent, and he has been injury prone the past couple seasons. So I'm good on him in the 8th. In the 9th round, we've got Mecole Hardman. I'm good on just because I don't think he's better than Sammy Watkins. I think he's more of a speedster. Sammy Watkins has been there the past 3 seasons, and he's always on your waiver wire except for week 1 when he pops off. But I don't think the upside is there for Mecole Hardman, despite the Chiefs having the most explosive offense in the league. You've got Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. I don't think Mecole Hardman's going to be getting much of the pie. And Michael Thomas here in the 9th. I want to say I'm not going to draft him, but I think once he becomes such a value, maybe in the 9th you do pull the trigger on him. I could see that happening. I think it's just him and the Saints. The past year has been awful. I don't know what's going on with him or in the organization, but I think I'm good off of Michael Thomas. It's more of a headache than anything. If you have an IR spot, I'm fine if you take him. But let's take a look at this last round here in round 10. Guys, I'm not going to be taking James Robinson. Now that I look at it, 10th round for James Robinson is about right. He was going in the 6th or 7th, but now he's landing here in the 10th where I think he belongs. Travis Etienne's going to take all of the receiving work. He's too good of a receiver. James Robinson, though, I think is a good running back. He should still get early down work, but you're looking at a 2-headed backfield at the least. The other guy I'm not targeting here is A.J. Dillon. The upside is great with A.J. Dillon. Jets strictly off of injury if Aaron Jones gets out, but other than that, they're going to use Aaron Jones. They didn't re-sign him to, insert A.J. Dillon into the lineup. I think he gets more touches this year with Jamal Williams being gone, but doesn't have much more than flex appeal to me. But those are the players that I'm going to be avoiding in my 2021 drafts. If you enjoyed the content today, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time.